Right, I'm going to show you the build-up of the brake discs now. There's one that I've made a start on, and I mentioned when I was unboxing the Hobby Design set about a problem potentially with the fit of these, and I've realised in having a look at it that when you attach the caliper, that sits slightly out because of this, what they've done as brake pads. If you have it without on the caliper, it'll fit nicely and actually fit in. So I'm not going to bother using these calipers, the actual pads. I mean, they're quite nice the way they build up. You've got this outer part that you bend over, and then there's a couple of inner pieces which are separate to represent the brake pads, which I painted up to look like carbon pads, but obviously I can't use them, so I'll be skipping that, because I think once it's all assembled and actually inside the wheel, if I just give you a quick look, once it's inside there, I don't think you're really going to notice whether it's got brake pads inside of it or not, so I'll skip that and then it'll be a nice fit. So I've got all the parts prepared and ready, and you've actually got these tiny photo etch parts which sit around the rim there, and I've removed the ones for this and I've just got them sat on the bench ready to go, because it'll save a bit of time with removing them. So to start off with, we've got these pieces that you saw me paint yesterday, and I've just removed a bit of paint from here just so that it fits in these slots. And what I also found when I was testing is the orientation of these has to be right. If I put it like that, you can see that they don't line up, but if I rotate it 180 degrees, they line up fine. So you need to double check that before you actually put glue on to make sure that the orientation's right. So I've put some glue on there, and again, you don't need loads, this is just basic super glue. And again, just double check before you actually push it in that they're lining up, and I've got that the wrong way, so turn it round, double check again, they're going to line up, and you can see there, line up nicely and nice and flush. I'm just going to get a bit more glue on my toe because it's going a bit dry. Right, so that's that first bit done, and then once you've done that, you want to move on to the actual brake discs fronts themselves, and I just want a bit of glue around the inside, a bit of dirt on that, and you can see there that you've got all the holes that are drilled out, and I don't know if it's coming up on camera, that sort of speckled effect that I was trying to get with the painting. So that just drops on there, and if you run it in your fingers just to make sure it's centered properly, and give it a squeeze to get it to stick. And what I'm going to do on the other one, because if possible you want to avoid getting glue in the holes, so I'm just going to run the glue on the actual photo etch piece. To avoid getting in the holes. And the same again, just put it on that, run it round in your fingers to make sure it's centered, and then just give it a bit of a squeeze. You've got nice vented discs there, and then you've got this piece here which is the centre of it. So again, a little bit of glue just round the inner of this disc. You see it's centered on the back there. And I'm going to swap cocktail sticks to one with a finer point. And now I'm going to move on to getting the small metal pieces inside. So I've got another cocktail stick that I'm just going to let wet just to pick up the pieces while I apply the glue in here. So you only want a tiny amount of glue in there, and then if you can see it or not, I've got one of those pieces on the end of this cocktail stick, and then it just wants to go in there, just like that. So then just go around and repeat the process. You hardly want any glue for doing these, because they're so small they don't need a lot at all. If you put too much on, you run the risk of getting fogging on the painted parts. So yeah, all that's holding that onto the cocktail stick is a bit of, it's just slightly wet. And it's just enough with these small parts just to give it something to grab hold of. Obviously it doesn't work with the bigger parts, but for the small parts it's fine. And it's these little parts that are very easy to drop. Which, if you drop one of these on the carpet, you'll probably never find it again. So just take a bit of care. That one's not sat quite right. So I'm just going to remove that one. I'm going to reapply the glue and then stick it back down. It wasn't sat flush on that one. If I could pick it up now. There we go. You've actually got these little notches that they sit in. So it's very fiddly to try and get them in, but once they're in, looking at the reference photos for the real one, they are noticeable on the real one, so it's worth putting the effort in to get it to look right. No, that one's not wanting to stick in there. So just a few more to go, about halfway there. Not really much I can say at this point as I'm doing this. It's just concentration and fine work to get them all attached. I've just got a bit of glue there. So once you've done a few things with photo etch, you start getting used to working with it and small parts like this, I find quite, well, sometimes they can be difficult to work with, but like I said, once you work with them a few times and you get some practice in, it's not that bad. So last thing I'm going to do is actually attach these. So I'm just going to check that it actually fits as it should do. So get the little black washer, tap that in there, and then I'm just going to run a bit of glue around here, and I'm deliberately leaving the caliper off for now until I've attached this, because I don't know on there where it would actually line up. So once I've done that and I've got that attached, then you've got these locator marks here, which is where the caliper will go, and I've applied the decal already to it, so obviously that side wants to go on the front, so it will fit like that. So bit glue on the back there, and I'm just going to run some, if I can hold it, I'm just going to run some on the inside of that caliper as well, just on the back edge. And that's it. And you've got a nice, realistic looking disc braking caliper. So quite cool. So I'll go and finish all of those off and then come back for the next bit.